F1 series. Now, sure, you were watching. Actually, no, we do not have any viewers at all right now. I'm just going to say right now, because we have had some technical difficulties during the last stream to where everybody got disconnected. I believe there was an issue to where one of our drivers could not actually take control of his car. So it was just one of those, issues with the game that caused us to have to restart this session entirely. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to keep all the drivers in their lineup where they qualified, as far as I'm aware. And then from there, we're just going to restart the race. As you can see up in your top right-hand corner, that the session restarts in about 15 seconds or so. So, want to apologize for the technical difficulties. Hopefully everyone who is watching on Twitch will be able to get back. And yes, I see now we have 2 viewers on Twitch. So, hello and welcome again, and thank you for sticking with us. Basically what happened is there were some connection issues, and I believe that one of our drivers, Sam, I think it was not able to take control of his car. So the session had to be restarted. So what is going on right now is that the drivers will be put back in their respective qualifying positions, and then we will just restart the race from there. So a little bit of technical difficulties, but it's good to get these things out of the way now during the preseason when the races are no points on the line versus 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line when we're racing for points each and every week. Looking down the F1 garage and waiting for all the drivers to get lined up. We're going to have to, of course, do another formation lap and then have another start. But I don't think that's really going to be an issue, because it just means that we get to see a lot more racing here tonight. I almost feel a need to hum the Jeopardy theme, just because of us waiting. But, it's just the nature of these things. We have to wait for all these players, all these drivers, to ready up. And we have to wait for the session to start. So, before our big issue happened with our last stream, we had just gotten the race underway, and it was VSR who had actually gotten out to a pretty big lead, but then everybody just started, disconnecting and dropping like a rock. So it's going to be very interesting to see, and I do believe that everyone's going to be starting on fresh tires now due to that, because, of course, as the rules, you have to start the race on the tires that you set your fastest time on. So I believe that everyone's going to be starting on fresh tires now. Of course, the tires that we do start on before, I'm sure only had about 1 or 2 laps on them. But now, tires are going to last just a little bit longer in this session, as we are just about to get underway. 5 seconds until this session officially starts, and then they will start their formation lap. Now you see all the drivers and all the cars lined up in their respective positions, and the formation lap is now underway. And of course, we're going to go back down the board just to refresh your memory on where they all lined up. VSR, Marquez in first, Scope Builder in second in the Renault. Then the Racing Point machine of CPI Alex in third. Fourth is Ben Musket in the McLaren. Fifth is IXC in the Williams. Foxy Red 2000 in sixth in the Alfa Romeo. Jamie Ryan in the Red Bull in seventh. Another Red Bull of Meg Lugby in eighth. Speed Queen 80 in a Williams in ninth. Sam the Pito in the McLaren in 10th. M. Doran, the Ferrari, in 11th. M. Doran, he was our fastest qualifier for most of the qualifying session, but for some reason or another was actually disqualified. For those watching on Twitch, or maybe who might just be joining us, I want to remind everybody that this is just a preseason race, so that means that we are racing only really for bragging rights here tonight, and we're not actually racing for any points. The reason to do this is so that the admins are able to get a feel for everyone's speed and then assign them cars accordingly throughout the season. So this is more or less just an exhibition race along with our race next week as well. So in 2 weeks' time, we will be starting our official points season, but this is a preseason race right here. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be any short on action, as now you see all the drivers and all the cars lining up and getting ready to start this race, as very soon we're going to see the red lights. All the cars are lined up and ready to go. All the drivers, they have itchy throttle feet, itchy throttle fingers, depending on if you're using a pad or a wheel. And all the lights are on, and now the lights are off, and away we go. It is green flag racing, green flag in the air, and we are off officially for this preseason Spanish Grand Prix. You see VSR in the Williams starting out with an early lead. Scopefielder in the Renault, of course, right there in second. The Force India machine in fourth. Third and fourth, they are battling. It is the McLaren and the Force India battling together, and we're going to go back and look at this Williams of IXE, who is just all over, at least for a minute, was all over the back bumper of the Racing Point machine. And Ben Muscat, the McLaren, is now dropping back and dropping very, very fast. Not sure what's going on here. We're going to just simply ride on board with it for a minute and look at the pack in front of him, as you see Foxy Red and both Sam both lock up going into that corner. A little bit of lockup, but no wrecks thus far, none the worse for wear. And now the McLaren of Sam has gotten by the McLaren of Ben Muscat. And that is for the 6th position, as VSR is still out to a good lead, almost a second over Scopefielder in second. Not missing anything at the front of the pack, as we are currently watching a mid-pack battle here. And you see the Toro Rosso all over the back bumper of the McLaren. It is the McLaren Williams, McLaren, Toro Rosso, and Red Bull battle right here. It is about a 4 or 5 car battle for about the 6th position or so. And this is already amazing, and this is just lap 1. Mind you, we have another 32 laps of racing to go. And things are already getting dicey here. Now riding with IXE, but we're still going to keep an eye on this battle, this very tight midfield battle, as just a little bit of lockup from the McLaren of Sam Paito going into that corner. He is the 5th, he's in the 5th position right now, followed by who you were watching of IXE in 6th, Ben Muscat, the McLaren in 7th. It is now about a 3-car battle for this position instead of the 5-car that it was about a lap ago. A little bit of lockup again for Sam. Sam's going to be using up his tires pretty quickly if he keeps locking up into the corners like that. Of course, it's not very easy to go into these corners without a lockup. These cars are just so sensitive and so twitchy. You have to be so very careful. Ben Muscat putting a little bit of pressure on IXE. Just a little bit, as now we have someone off the track. Foxy Red is off the track in that Alfa Romeo. Not sure what's going on, but Foxy Red spun off the track and was in the gravel trap. He rejoins the race, but is in the 11th position, dead last in this race. Very unfortunate circumstance for Foxy Red. Fastest lap, of course, being set by VSR, who you are watching right now in that Williams. He has a 1.9, almost 2-second lead over the Renault of Scopefielder, who you saw on your screen, and now you see in second. Of course, you see behind you, CPI Alex is in the Racing Point machine in 3rd place, and Sam is now in the 4th position since Foxy Red has spun out. So Sam has inherited the 4th position, with IXE inheriting 5th. These cars were very close just a couple laps ago, and they had a really good battle. Now it is just spaced out entirely to where it's really not much of a battle at all. Of course, when we see when DRS is activated here in about a lap or so, I believe that we're going to see a lot more racy moves and a lot more passes for position. VSR still ahead in that Williams, but right now you're watching the Williams of IXE Fun, who is running in the 5th position, but he is getting some pressure from the McLaren of Ben Musket, who is just ever so slightly dipping into the advantage that IXE has. The McLaren has the DRS. He's going to use it this time, and I believe he's going to get by. He is, in fact, going to get by. He's at least going to make a move as they are now wheel to wheel, side by side, going into turn 1. And Ben Musket in the McLaren goes by the Williams of IXE with relative ease, as now Ben Musket, it appears, is in the 5th position and is on his way to moving up the pack. Of course, he is the only driver, with the exception of Jamie Ryan, to not be on the mediums. As you can see, Ben Musket is on the soft tires, so that explains why he has some pace now. Look for his pace to drop off in about 3 or 4 laps, though. Riding on board with M. Doran in that Ferrari, and it looks like, oh my goodness, Speed Queen 80 just absolutely just tried to knock down the wall coming out of that corner, just got loose and just spun. And we actually saw a driver in the race yesterday, spin in that same sector. That is a dangerous sector going up that hill. Speed Queen 80 has officially left the session and will be classified as a DNF. Unfortunate for Speed Queen 80. But that was just a very difficult section to have to try and work around. Even when I play this game, that is one of the most difficult sections of this track for me, and it's just crazy. So I expect that that is not the last victim that corner takes tonight. Just a little bit of lockup there you saw from the Williams of VSR, but none the worse for wear. Scope Fielder still back there, 2.3 seconds behind. Very smooth into the corner is VSR. Maybe a little bit of wheel spin coming out of the corner, not so sure, but he is definitely keeping it under control, and he is so far very much in command of this race. So we're going to go back in the field and check on IXE, who is just ever so slightly eating into the advantage that Ben Musket has. I'd almost dare to say that Ben Musket's tires are now starting to wear, as he is on the soft tires versus almost everybody else on the mediums. And now you're going to see his tires slowly start to wear and the mediums get faster. And yesterday in the Performance League race, the mediums, starting on the mediums, were actually the way to go. Some drivers elected to qualify and then start on the hard tires, hoping that maybe they could run 20 laps or so on the hard tires and make it on one stop and try to get a better position simply by pit strategy. I thought it would work, but we saw yesterday that it in fact did not. So I think that all these drivers who are on the medium tires have definitely made the right call. But with almost every driver being on the medium tires, what's going to happen at the end of this race? How close are they going to run, and how much is tires going to actually play a role here if everyone's on the same compound? It's really going to determine what lap they pit at and how old their tires are and how much they can conserve that rubber. Still no change at the front of the pack, as VSR Marquesis still in first place, followed by Scope Fielder 3.2 seconds behind in that Renault CPI Alex, and the Racing Point 4.4 seconds behind Scope. The field is really spaced out here. Of course, you can still see a few cars here and there from our camera. As you see now, a lockup by CPI going into the first corner, but none the worse for wear, stays on track and is away without any problems. Riding on board with Scope Builder in that Renault, just so you can get a good estimate of just how big the lead is that VSR has. Scopefielder can just barely keep him in his sights at this point, and it just looks like VSR is constantly pulling away from Scope. And again, as you can see, they are on the same tires, the same tire compound, and the tires are the same age. CPI Alex in the racing point. Before too long, I expect us to see some pit stops starting here in the next couple of laps. And I look for Ben Musket to actually be the first driver to pit, and now it looks like Sam has caught up to the racing point machine of CPI, and he's going to try to make a move as now we have a yellow flag in Sector 1. I'm not sure what has happened. Apparently Scopefielder has crashed and he is off the track. I don't know what happened at all, but Scopefielder is off the track, and I think he may be done for the race. No, he is actually pulling back out onto the track. He's going to continue, but Scopefielder was running in the second position. He has now been dropped all the way back down to the 9th position after spinning out in the second corner. What an unfortunate turn of events for Scopefielder. And that just means that VSR's lead has increased that much more. A 9-second lead now for VSR in that Williams. He can basically ride and stay on a Sunday drive, and as long as he keeps pace, he will win this race. Of course, we have plenty of racing left to go, but with a lead like that, so long as he can hold on to it, I don't think we're going to see any problems. A 10-second lead now of VSR in front of CPI Alex, as Sam in the McLaren is going to try to make a move on CPI yet again. He has the DRS. Is he going to make that move? He's going to definitely try. He sticks it in there, and a lockup by CPI, and that lockup breaking very late into that corner actually helped CPI Alex to stay in second position, but the McLaren is not done, as Sam is going to try to make a move yet again. He does not make it, but he is right there. He is hungry. He is wanting to make a move, and he is going to pounce just as soon as he can. We now have a virtual safety car. Apparently there has been some sort of incident on the track, so it is a virtual safety car. Not sure what has happened here. It looks like Ben Musket, well, Ben Musket is in the pits, actually. He's fitted the hard tires. I'm really not sure what has brought out the virtual safety car, but nonetheless, we are under that. We are under that. We are under a virtual safety car condition, under a yellow flag condition here, with VSR Marquesas leading, and he is leading CPI Alex by what is right now 12 seconds, but I expect that gap to shrink just a little bit even, and Sam Paito in third. IXC Fun, of course, in the 4th position. M. Doran in 5th. Foxy Red in 6th. Jamie Ryan in 7th. McLuckpie in 8th. And Ben Musket in the 9th position. Of course, Scopefielder and Speed Queen 80 being the 2 drivers thus far, suffering a DNF. Speed Queen 80 spun out in a corner, and so did Scopefielder, actually. And so both of their days are done. As now the virtual safety car condition has been lifted, and M. Doran is going by IXC, and now it looks like has VSR came to the pits. No, he is not. VSR is now rejoining this race in the 3rd position. I have no idea what has happened here. I am sorry. I'm at a loss for words, and I'm very confused. I don't know why VSR is now in the 3rd position when he was in the lead and had such a huge lead, but nonetheless CPI Alex has gotten by him, and now CPI Alex is getting a lot of pressure put on him by that McLaren of Sam in 2nd position. I'm gonna ride on board with Sam as he hunts down that pink Racing Point machine. driving it in deep into that corner, very deep into that corner, and he gained plenty of time actually. Coming onto the front stretch here in just a couple corners, Sam will get the DRS, and he'll probably try to make a move going into the first corner yet again. Not sure if he'll be able to make it stick, but we're about to find out right now as they are about to round the final corner for this lap, and he will get the DRS here momentarily. You hear that beep, that means he has the DRS, and he is definitely trying. He has the slipstream, he has the draft. He's going to go onto the inside to try to make that move, but will he make it stick? Yes, he will, and Sam is now in the first position in that McLaren with CPI Alex in the Racing Point, having to settle at least right now for the second position. Both drivers have the exact same amount of time on their tires. Both the same compound, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Sam just simply had the DRS, he had the speed, and he got by. But CPI Alex is not going to let him go, at least not that easily, as you see Alex fighting back and fighting back hard, keeping Sam Paito within half a second. And there you see the DRS opened up for CPI Alex. He has the DRS going into this corner, will not be able to make anything with it, but he has it nonetheless, and it helped him get just a little bit closer maybe to Sam. But now Sam is putting the time back. Sam is just very fast here today, and he looks like he's getting a very, very good exits. Coming down the front stretch to complete lap 11. We are now on lap 12 of 33, and CPI Alex has the DRS, but he is not close enough at all to make that move on Sam. But now we see that the Williams of VSR is now putting an enormous amount of pressure on CPI Alex. I don't know where in the world he came from, but he is wanting his lead back. He, of course, started this race out in first place, and he had an amazing lead, and somehow after the virtual safety car he dropped all the way back to the third position, and now he is fighting back and fighting back hard, trying to gain back the second and eventual first positions. So right now we have a three-way battle for the lead, with Sam Paito in the McLaren up in first place, and then the Racing Point of Alex in second, and then the Williams of VSR Marquesas in third. And he is absolutely right on that bumper of the Racing Point machine. He is putting an enormous amount of pressure on that Racing Point as he has DRS, and he's going to try to make the move. And does he make the move? Yes, he does, but he locks up. VSR locks up, and he does not make the pass. He completes the pass, but then CPI Alex goes underneath him to make the move yet again, and now VSR is going to have to settle for the third position, at least for now, as he locked up going to that corner. Just went way too hot, carried too much speed into that corner, but that is not deterring him from trying yet again to try to get past Alex, as we are now coming down the front stretch to complete lap 12, now lap 13 of 33. VSR has the DRS, but isn't close enough to do anything with it. The battle for this lead has just tightened up very significantly, as Sam is now only in the lead by about half a second. He was almost had a second there, and now you see VSR getting by the Racing Point of Alex, and VSR in the Williams has now moved into the second position, and he is going to work on the McLaren of Sam to see if he can get back into his first position. VSR, of course, our pole sitter, our fastest qualifier, so I'm sure that he is not going to be happy unless he finishes this race in first place, and he's not going to be happy unless he's running this race in first place. But you see that all the drivers there got the DRS, both VRS and CPI got the crucial DRS to try and get them closer to the competitor in front of them. It looks like CPI Alex has now went into the pits, but VSR and Sam both are just putting an enormous amount of pressure on each other. Very racy moves we're seeing right now as VSR gets by Sam very easily, actually. It looked like Sam went to the inside to try to block, but VSR anticipated that and instead got by on the outside. Of course, VSR having that DRS helped him tremendously. But now you see VRS is actually pulling away and he only has 4 laps on his tires. Come to think of it, maybe that's why he dropped back to 3rd. I just noticed he only has 4 laps on his tires when everyone else has 13. So he must have pitted during or right after the virtual safety car in order to drop himself back to 3rd so he could have fresher tires to then move up through the field yet again. And that's what he's done. He has 10 lap newer tires than everybody else in this field except for the ones who have just pitted. Of course, Alex has pitted and fitted the hard tires. He is now running in the 6th position. That was our 3rd place runner. Now it looks like VSR has now acquired a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So that could really make or break his race, because I've seen races many times end where a driver will finish first, but then they're not declared the winner just because of that time penalty. And I'm not just referring to the whole Sebastian Vettel Canadian Grand Prix fiasco. I mean officially in the Invictus Racing League. This happens all the time. I've seen it happen so many times because, for a driver to, physically win the race, but a time penalty drop him back. So that could very well make or break VSR's race, as Sam the Pito you saw pitted there just some time ago, and he is pitted to fit the hard tires on now. And he has rejoined the race in the 4th position, just ahead of Alex in the racing point. Jamie Ryan, of course, in the Red Bull, on the hard tires, he's trying a different strategy. He is trying the hard tire strategy as he qualified on the hard tires. He started on the hard tires. He has 14 laps on the hard tires. Not sure when he's going to pit. Not sure what he's trying here. But let's see if it works for him. Currently no battles except for the battle of Alex and Sam going on right now. Alex got by Sam, not sure what happened. I was just about to switch to this battle when they changed position, so too little too late. But we're going to watch this battle now as Sam is putting an enormous amount of pressure back onto that Racing Point machine. He is not letting that 4th position go very easily at all. He is absolutely determined to get back by him, and he might very well do it as he has DRS on this straightaway and going into turn 1. CPI Alex, of course, using his mirrors and knowing exactly where he's going, but the McLaren is on the inside of that Racing Point, and he locks it up just a little bit going into the corner. They are wheel to wheel, side by side. There is just a little bit of contact, but none the worse for wear, as these two drivers are just running side by side, wheel to wheel. This is some great action, and might I say, some very clean racing by Sam the Pito and CPI Alex. As of right now, that McLaren has the advantage. He is up front, but the Force India machine of Alex is fighting back very, very hard. He is not letting that, what is now the 3rd position, go. Alex has the DRS, but he's not close enough to do anything with it this time around. He's going to have to try going into turn 1. He's going to have to try again. He will not get another opportunity to pass, I don't think, until then. While this battle is going on, we will momentarily check in on a battle of 2 Ferraris. Actually, no, a Ferrari and an Alfa Romeo. M. Doran, of course, on your screen up front in the Ferrari. And now CPI Alex has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Apparently, he cut a corner. So now 2 drivers already at least have acquired time penalties, as CPI Alex is making a move on the outside. Now the inside of that McLaren, the line turned into the inside line, and there's maybe a little bit of contact, but the McLaren of Sam the Pito has officially kept the 3rd position for now. Riding on board of the Racing Point. And now you see that McLaren pulling away. I almost feel like maybe CPI Alex has used up his tires just a little bit. Now he is fitted with the hard tires, so he has a lot of tire life on compared to if he was fitted with the medium or the softs. But just with as hard as he's been running to try to get that position, and then before he was passed to maintain his previous position, I just feel that he is maybe already worn out his tires just a little too much, or maybe he's just simply laying back and trying to save. With a Sam the Paito, 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. So now 3 of our top 4 drivers have acquired 3-second time penalties. That's going to make things very interesting here in about 12 laps, 15 laps at the end of this race. Foxy Red trying to defend his position from M. Doran, as apparently he has, obviously, gotten by M. Doran in that Ferrari. M. Doran seems to be dropping back now, as it looks like Foxy Red is putting the gap and increasing that gap ever so slightly. And just as we were speaking about him, M. Doran has acquired a 3-second time penalty. Our battle between the McLaren and the Racing Point has really fizzled into more of a drive at this moment, as the McLaren is almost a full second ahead of that Racing Point. Of course, the Racing Point is still in DRS range, and Alex is going to try to make a move. He was maybe going to try it, but he realized he wasn't too close, so there was really just nothing he could do. But the DRS helped him get closer to Sam. Lap 19 of 33 here. VSR Marquesas still having an enormous lead with 22.6 seconds. Now, I feel that VSR is going to have to pit for tires here fairly quickly. He'll probably fit the softs, honestly, but the mediums may work as well, as he has an enormous lead that I don't think he really has to worry about too much, at least not right now. Now we check on our Alfa Romeo / Ferrari battle, as M. Doran is trying to eat into the advantage that Foxy Red has, and IXE Fun has left the session. Maybe a disconnection issue, I am not sure. So he will officially have a DNF. M. Doran giving it absolutely everything he has to try to take over that 4th position, but he's not really close enough to gain much of an advantage with the DRS. In fact, coming up on this next DRS zone, I don't think he's going to be close enough at all. In fact, he is not. The DRS is not open. He did not get the DRS that time. Maybe he'll be able to get it on the front stretch if he puts together a few good corners. And while we were watching this battle, Jamie Ryan in the Red Bull has pitted. He has fitted the medium tires. He was running in the second position. So our green flag pit stops is now cycled through, and Sam the Pito has now re-inherited the second position from Jamie Ryan, with CPI Alex trailing behind in third position. But everybody in this field is chasing the Williams of VSR Marquesas, who has a 32, yes, a 32-second lead. No DRS for Alex this time around. He is 1.4 seconds behind Sam. Looks like M. Doran, though, might be able to get the DRS, and he likely did that time around. We're going to ride on board with him now and see just how these next two corners go for him. And when he gets to the front stretch, will he be able to take advantage of the DRS and maybe set up a move on Foxy Red? Foxy Red a little slow through that corner, but now he's maintaining his speed. But M. Doran, I think, is getting quicker by the lap. Doran has the DRS. Not close enough to make a pass, but he's definitely close enough not only to get the DRS, but to get just ever so closer to Foxy Red. And he is now almost on his bumper. But a lockup from M. Doran in that corner really killed his speed and killed his corner exit. And I'm sure that you saw on your screen that VSR and Meg Luckby both have acquired yet another set of 3-second time penalties. Jamie Ryan also acquiring a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. At this point, it would probably be easier to count the drivers who haven't got a time penalty. And knowing how these races work, and I'm not insulting anybody, I have my own problems with staying on the track when I play the game. But I think really the only 3 drivers that may not have a time penalty are the ones that have unfortunately suffered a DNF. Oh my goodness, M. Doran in the Ferrari has spun. He lost it in the final corner, and he has spun. M. Doran now not going to be able to take back that 4th position from Foxy Red, and no longer in contention for a top 5 even, as he is spun all on his own. Unfortunate circumstances for M. Doran. You are currently watching the number 12 Alfa Romeo of Foxy Red on your screen. The 4th place runner thus far with 10 laps to go in the Spanish Grand Prix. Looking back at the battle, not much of a battle really, but again, more of a drive of sorts between the McLaren and the Racing Point. They had a very close battle earlier, but now the McLaren of Sam has increased his advantage over the Racing Point by 2.4 seconds. Of course, everybody's still chasing the Williams of VSR Marquesas, who has now increased his lead to 34 seconds. Now, I do expect that gap to shrink here very shortly, as Marquesas has 14 laps on those medium tires, and that's a long time to go. He might actually be able to make it on those medium tires if he wants to try and do that, because he has such a big lead that it really wouldn't be an issue as so long as he doesn't spin out. But I feel that pitting and taking the soft tires are the way to go. because we have 9 laps remaining, and that is actually a lot of racing. A little bit of lockup there from the McLaren of Sam Paito. Of course, he has no pressure from behind. CPI Alex just behind him in the Racing Point machine. Behind Alex is Foxy Red 2000 in the Alfa Romeo. Behind Foxy Red is Jamie Ryan in the Red Bull. M. Doran, of course, who you saw spin out just a few moments ago. He has rejoined the race in the 6th position. Doesn't look like he has any physical damage on his car, but I'm sure that he is just absolutely hitting himself and just cursing for the mistake that he made in this corner right here, actually, where you saw just a couple laps ago where he spun. He held on to it that time. He held on to it every single time except for the one time that he needed to. IXE in 7th, Meg Luckby in the 8th position. 35-second lead now is the Williams. Williams has a 35-second, 36, 35, 36. It keeps bouncing around, it keeps moving, and my eyes aren't exactly the best, so I actually have to get really close to my screen in order to be able to see these times. Unfortunately, my eyesight is not the best, but yes, it is now officially a 36-second lead that Williams of VSR Marquesas has over the McLaren of Sam DePaito. About 3 seconds behind the McLaren you saw on your screen was the Racing Point of Alex, running in the 3rd position. A solid run for him today. I know he'd want to win. I know he'd probably want 2nd as well, but a podium and even a top 5, still a solid run, as we are right now on lap 26 of 33. A big lockup from that McLaren. But he keeps it straight and he keeps it pointed where he wants to go. And now we see VSR Marquesas actually pulling into the pits. Right now he has his 36-second lead still, but that is going to drop significantly here very soon. He hasn't even reached his pit box yet, but now he has, and the crew is servicing the car. And yes, he is in fact putting on the soft tires, trying to go out there and keep putting down fast laps to stay ahead of that McLaren. Here momentarily, we will be able to see where they line up and how big of a lead he has now. Right now it is down to 17 seconds and dropping. VSR Marquesas' lead is, but having fresh tires and having fresh soft tires, I don't feel it's going to be an issue, as he can go out here and he can absolutely run hard for these next 6, 7-ish laps. There's no reason to run hard on the edge every single lap, but a few laps here and there, you gotta run hard to try to keep the gap. Of course, now the gap isn't shrinking at all, and it is a 15-second lead that he has. So all he really has to do is stay on a decent pace, and he has this. He doesn't even have to run hard even for one lap. Of course, you saw the brake rotors glowing. He is using those brakes very hard. It is now lap 28 of 33. VSR Marquesas is your leader by 16 seconds, followed by Sam DePaito in the McLaren. 7 seconds behind him is CPI Alex, who is now receiving a lot of pressure from the Alfa Romeo of Foxy Red 2000, and Foxy Red is going to try to make the move on Alex, and will he be able to pass him? Yes, he will, and with relative ease, as he got the DRS going into turn 1. No contest whatsoever. Foxy Red officially got by CPI Alex there, and it looks like Alex is just continuing to drop. Not sure what's going on there. His tires are only 2 laps older than Foxy Red's, but maybe he just wore him out too much too soon. Foxy Red holding a good advantage over that racing point. So now it looks as though Foxy Red has put himself into a position of finishing on the podium, when just a few laps ago I thought that CPI Alex had a podium locked up. VSR Marquesas has now set the fastest lap of the session with a 1:20.696. And if you're just joining us on Twitch, VSR Marquesas, as you can see, is out on to, has a 18-second lead. How he got that, actually, now that I think about it, is beyond me. I actually want to re-watch the stream just to figure out how, in fact, he got that lead. I know that there was a virtual safety car, and he dropped all the way back to 3rd place, but then he got his lead back, and then it was right in the middle of where other drivers had to make pit stops. I assume that is how he got such a big lead. Of course, he pitted for medium tires during the virtual safety car, dropping him back to 3rd. 2 laps ago, he pitted again to fit the soft tires. So before this, about 5 laps ago, his lead was up to 36 seconds. And that is just a tremendous lead. And he is even now still still increasing that gap. It's now up to 19.4 seconds over the McLaren of San Paito. Now you see that racing point behind Foxy Red. The racing point's going to try to set himself up for position to make a move on Foxy Red. Not sure what Alex is going to be able to do, but if he can get the DRS on the front stretch here, he might be able to outbrake Foxy Red going into the corner if he's close enough. Lap 30 of 33. 4 laps to go. CPI Alex does in fact have that DRS, but he is not close enough whatsoever to do anything with it this time around. And Foxy Red 2000 in the Alfa Romeo will hold on to that 3rd position for at least another, let's say, half a lap, because that's when the next passing opportunity actually comes up. Going to check just momentarily on our leader, who is now out to a 20-second lead over our 2nd place runner of Sam. Of course, 3rd of Foxy Red and 4th of CPI Alex, the battle we have been watching. Behind him is the Red Bull of Jamie Ryan, the Ferrari of M. Doran. 7th place is Meg Luckby, and then IXE Fun in the Williams is in 8th place. And of course, you can see on your screen, Ben Musket, Scope Fielder, and Speed Queen 80 have suffered a DNF in this session. Unfortunate for them. On board now with the racing point of Alex. He's going to get the DRS coming out of this corner and on this straightaway going into turn 1. I don't think he's close enough to make this move, but he is going to exit turn 1 on the bumper of that Alfa Romeo. I am pretty sure he's going to try to outbrake him here. He thought about making a move, but thought better of it, and good judgment call by Alex there. Had he tried to make that move, there would have just been a big collision, as now M. Doran has received a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. That is a huge time penalty. The stewards must really be mad today. A little bit of lockup from that Alfa Romeo, but none the worse for wear, as he is still out and ahead of the Racing Point. Of course, this is a battle for the 3rd position, with Sam the Pito being in 2nd. And now it looks like VSR Marquez is pitted again. He made another pit stop to put on soft tires. And so now, what was a 20-second lead has dropped all the way down to a 2-second lead, but he is increasing that as now it is lap 32 of 33 and just 2 laps remaining here in this race, this preseason race for the Invictus Racing League F1 Grand Prix. Spanish Grand Prix. Thank you. VSR now out to a 3.1 second lead over the McLaren of Sam the Pito, who just momentarily saw his chances of a victory there, but now he's just watching it slip away in front of him. And then going back behind him, 9 seconds behind him, mind you, is still Foxy Red in the Alfa Romeo, receiving some little pressure from the Racing Point of CPI Alex, and there is actually a lockup yet again from Foxy Red. You know that Alex has got to be giving it everything he's got in that Racing Point, trying his hardest to secure a podium finish for his first race of the season. Now, mind you, this is not a points race. This is an exhibition race. This is a preseason race for the sake of the admins, but nonetheless, a win is a win. And now you see that VSR Marquez has set the fastest time yet again. I saw it was a 1:19. A 1:19 is currently our fastest lap, set by current leader VSR Marquez, as now it is the white flag in last lap. Marquez out to a comfortable lead, 6 seconds just within the last lap. He has gained 3 seconds. It is now up to a 6-second lead that Williams has over the McLaren of Sam. And then, of course, behind Sam, we still have Foxy Red receiving a little bit of pressure from the Racing Point of CPI Alex, but I just don't think that there's going to be enough time for Alex to make a pass on the Alfa Romeo, as VSR Marquez is now entering the final 4 corners of this circuit and the final 4 corners of this race. Still watching my screen intently, seeing CPI Alex ever so slightly shrink the advantage that Foxy Red has over him. Not sure what he's going to be able to do with it, but VSR Marquez has officially won this race with a 7-second lead over Sam the Pito. Now, VSR Marquez has a 3-second time penalty, but that is not going to be an issue because Sam and I believe Foxy Red and Alex as well have those time penalties. So that is not going to be an issue as Foxy Red officially crosses the line in the 3rd position, with CPI Alex following in 4th, Jamie Ryan in 5th, Meg Luckpie is going to finish in the 6th position, with IXE Fun finishing in 7th. We have 2 minutes and 22 seconds for the remaining drivers to complete the lap, as Meg Luckpie actually spun. Meg Luckpie spun trying to complete his final lap. I'm not sure what happened there, but he spun, and a little bit of damage now, and it looks like IXE Fun is maybe going to make a move on him, but I'm just not very sure. Now, IXE, I do believe, got disconnected from this session, so that is the AI ghost car that you're watching there. But IXE has actually officially passed Meg Luckpie, and they are going down the final stretch, but it looks like Meg Luckpie is maybe going to edge him out, but I'm not sure. No, Meg Luckpie will not. Meg is going to finish in the 7th position. But that was a fantastic race and a fantastic drive from all of the racers here tonight. There will be no post-race interviews, as this is simply a preseason race. And I'm going to take this time to let you know that there may not be post-race interviews. Post-race interviews for this series might be lacking, at least from me, because there has been an issue to where I cannot connect to all of these drivers and talk to them. So what happens is that I'll go into a lobby, but I can't talk to them. And I believe I've invited them to parties before and I couldn't hear them. So we're going to have to try to work that out, hopefully in the next 2 weeks, so I can do post-race interviews. But for this weekend and next weekend, post-race interviews not going to occur, as this is simply an exhibition race. And now you see our final standings, our final race results. VSR Marquez in first with Sam the Pito in second, Foxy Red in third with CPI Alex in fourth, Jamie Ryan coming in the fifth position with Meg Lugpie in sixth, IXE Fun finished in seventh with M Doran finishing in eighth, Ben Musket in 9th, Scope Builder in 10th, and Speed Queen 80 in 11th. I hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. I hope you enjoyed today's race. That was absolutely amazing racing. Fantastic drive from all 11 drivers involved. I'm Tim for the Invictus Racing League. This has been the Spanish Grand Prix preseason race. And until next time, have a good day, good morning, and good night.